discuss the design and structure of the specialization, livelihood specialization, which we are going to offer from next semester in the university. And this part, the specialization is part of the MA development program which we offer. It's a 2 years MA development program, and we have different specializations. So livelihood specialization will be part of the MA development program. So it started almost 20 odd months ago when we started discussing, deliberating, and raising questions for ourselves in terms of what to be taught, what should not be taught, how it has to be pitched, designed, and framed. And one basic question which we started asking ourselves, and as Professor Shome was mentioning earlier, that yes, we had a lot of questions for ourselves, probably very less answers. One question which we started discussing about is how livelihood is taught in higher education. And I don't know how much correct answers we had, but we arrived to this kind of an situation analysis, and probably it has a lot of space to be added to this place. So we found that most of the discussions in higher education in the name of livelihoods is in and around the Pentagon. The capitals in and around the way it is defined in our DFID papers, so on and so forth. And mostly the context of the teaching was in the realm of rural development, rural management, natural resource management. And then we try to see into the intervention part of it, and mostly the interventions, I'm not getting into the good, bad, ugly kind of an value judgment, but mostly in and around enhancing the capitals of poor. The teaching was largely directed towards developing the management skill of students so that they can go ahead and intervene into the capitals and strengthening the capitals of poor, again within the realms of rural development. One more bigger question which arose before us was the kind of knowledge base we have created, at least in the country. And probably we came across series of researches within the livelihood domain, but mostly directed towards how the Pentagon works, whether the Pentagon is working or not working, so on and so forth. This also led us to a series of other questions. Again, we don't have answers to that. And one, of course, is this: other researches happening beyond this capital, or is just related to this 5 capitals mentioned in the Pentagon? Is livelihood teaching adequately addressing this changing scenario? Something again Professor Shome mentioned, whether we are still discussing the framework, or are we bringing in the experiences of let's say NRL. So are we looking into the changing scenario of the country in terms of the blurring divide of rural and urban, the impact of globalization on this kind of changing scenario, the growing informalization in the country, and also an important aspect as in loss of livelihood, which Shankar always have been discussing in different forums, how different development as a project is affecting the livelihoods of people, how natural and not so natural man-made disasters are affecting the life of people, and then the loss of livelihoods thereof. These were certain guiding beacons, if I'm allowed to say so, which has guided our thoughts and processes for arriving into the livelihood specialization. And of course, we ended our debate in the university with this question, whether the livelihood discourses are including the question of dignity, inequality, and inclusion part of it, and what happens to the ecology part of it, the sustainability of ecosystem, and so on and so forth. I'll just quickly, I'll skip this because we don't have much time, but I'll just try to draw your attention to the first point at least. There is a recent book by Barbara Harris, and probably most of you have seen it. It shows that even the populations like ST and SC populations in India, and in terms of their enterprises, are very low. It's very pathetic in that sense. If you see the last point, something which again I would like to mention, that we even don't have basic data to understand how what is the extent of livelihood loss due to certain natural or not so natural disasters in our country. So in the last Bodo-Muslim conflict in India or in Assam has displaced almost 8 lakh people, and probably you don't know what is happening to these huge, we are talking of lakhs of people in one corner of the country and we don't know what to do. Right? There are other, probably this PPT will be shared, so probably we can check the other data. So, why I am presenting this data is in the purpose, right? Status. Okay. I'll use this continue. So, the reason of presenting this data probably is not, kind of being a new or establishing that I know more data than anybody else, but probably trying to understand and highlight that inclusion still remains a big challenge in our country. Dignity and equity issues are profound in livelihood areas. Probably if you see the data, the kind of livelihood loss shows us that the dignity and equity issues are not being considered. And when we say that a huge section of population is in the informal sector, how we are viewing this sector, the livelihood associated in this sector, and whether they are sustainable. So it took us back to the question of, Shankar is looking at, probably I'll just take 2-3 minutes more. So it took us to the basic question of how a livelihood education can ensure the inclusion, dignity, equity, questions like these, and probably this also gave us an indication for the larger goal of livelihood education, which terms of work and life at a macro level, where the freedom of individuals are being realized. Quickly a glance to the livelihood specialization structure. So we have a set of compulsory courses, understanding livelihoods, perspective, concepts and theories. The second course is livelihood policies, practice and challenges. The third is competencies for livelihood intervention. And probably when Shankar started with this discussion that there are a few courses which comes into the 3 categories, which he has mentioned in his review paper. Probably 3 courses falls into those first 3 categories. Of course, the field practice, field lab component is missing in our structure. It's not very prominent. Yes, the academic structure, administrative structure is not allowing us more time, allowing us not to put more time in practice-oriented courses. After the compulsory courses, we have 3 separate tracks. One is a sectoral track, one is a thematic track, and the third is organizational track. And we are kind of classifying courses into these 3 different buckets. So in sectoral courses, as of now, we have 3 courses. One is livelihood in coastal zones, forestal livelihoods, livelihoods and livestock rearing. The third course is yet to be developed, but then work has been started on that. On thematic track, we have courses like poverty, concepts and measurements, gender, women and livelihoods. On the organization track, we have only 1 course as of now, which is social enterprise and organizational forms. So in short, this is the structure of the specialization course. And quickly, I'll take half a minute to share the basic objectives of the livelihood specialization. So basically, the first and basic concept of objective of the specialization is conceptual understanding of livelihoods and trying to understand it from a multidisciplinary lens. Second is familiarity with laws, policies, programs, and the approaches which you see in the country. The third objective is about understanding the lived experience of the people. People, when I say people, it's basically the different marginalized constituencies which exist in the country, and enhancing the awareness of our students of what is happening and what are the possibilities in such constituencies. And the fourth objective of the specialization is practical skills and development. Ultimately, we are also trying to say in our course that we are trying to prepare students to become reflective practitioners. So somebody who goes out there and my faculty have told me that okay, I have to do a livelihood mapping, and day one I go and do certain things which is part of livelihood mapping. Rather, I would like to have students who would go out there and smoke 2 videos with the people and come up with a lot of insights, and then design the livelihood mapping to be done in that context. So in that sense, I am saying that we are trying to build human resources in the students who will be reflective practitioners. Thank you.
all these things happened, like we were working as an institute.